Item number 7, licences for trading on council's reserves. Mr. Rawley here? No, Mr. Ridd is. Mr. Ridd, welcome, sir.
So this paper follows up on the workshop we had a couple of weeks ago around the licences that were put out for expressions of interest. So fundamentally what we're doing is giving you the option to firm up those by way of resolution, those agreements you made during the workshop. So there are 3 licences to occupy which are outlined within the report. So I'll take any questions, but it's basically going back to the workshop we had prior.
Okay, Councillor Williams.
Yes, thanks, John. The fun ski, is that an existing ski lane there, or where the proposed site is?
This isn't. The ski lane's further down towards Haltwater Beach. This fun ski.
Didn't we have that there last year?
Yeah, we did. We've had it a couple of years now.
Last year, yeah, it's only repetitive.
Yeah, I think it's jet ski.
Banana boat, the kids sit on the toe.
Yeah. Oh, so that last year it wasn't involving motorised?
No, it's the same operation as it was last year. So this is the second year it's been back.
Oh, okay.
We okayed it last year.
Yeah. So there's no motorsports.
They'll operate within the Harbour Masters requirements.
They have a boat. They have a thing. They tow it out at 5 miles an hour to the 200 metre. They zap them round. They come back 200 metres at 5 mile an hour. Take them back into the beach. So they have to not at the ski lane.
They have to comply with the Harbour Masters regulations. Or the purpose of this is to allow them to operate off council reserve. What happens on the water is the Harbour Masters.
Councillor Eklund?
Yeah, John, I just wondered whether there should be firm dates put on there. I see 4 months, but I just wondered whether it should be for a specific period.
Yeah, it will be during the summer period. I suppose if you want to restrict them, that's fine, but it depends how long the summer season goes on for, whether or not you want to restrict their business for a period, or whether or not you want it to naturally sort of expire when the weather or the temperature reduce. So we don't necessarily want to reduce the opportunity, I guess, to enjoy a good season.
Okay.
Any other further questions?
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, we have resolution. I think we don't need to ask anybody wants to speak against or anything for that. So, if anybody wants to comment at all, they're not doing so. I will put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 8 from Money Shot Limited, Development Contributions Review. Who's presenting this?
Mr. Movember.
So, what do you got? 4 days to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But this
I'll be very happy by this stage.
Is this part of it too?
It is. I normally have a clean face.
It'll grow up today, Scott. It'll grow up.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
Good afternoon, councillors. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Scott Devonport. I'm the development planner, and one of my roles is implementation of council's development contributions policy. We've got a review item in front of us from Money Shot Limited, who are doing a 13-lot subdivision in Whariwaka Point. They have applied in accordance with the policy to have their development contributions that have been assessed reviewed. The main points of the application going forward is that they were originally assessed under the 2009 development contribution policy, and since then the 2012 policy has come in, which has substantially brought down the development contributions to start with, which is sort of the intention of the new policy that's come out. The key part of this application is the council officers support the fact that we do not charge for reserve land. One of the reasons why we've shifted a little bit in our policy is that infill subdivision within the Taupo residential areas and within the district, we're no longer charging for reserve land, and that's based on the fact that we believe that the reserve land we have within the district is adequate for the existing community. This is a bit of an unusual application in the fact that all around them is classed as infill subdivision, so any developer that did development within close proximity of this development wouldn't be paying reserve land, and this is one little area of land that we didn't actually earmark in the policy because it wasn't actually on our radar for development at the time. It was basically NCTA land that was disposed of last year. Council officers generally are supportive, like I said, that we don't charge reserve land because we believe that this area has more than adequate reserves, probably more reserves than most other areas in the town. and then it would be in keeping with the intent of the policy for other developers that will do a similar development in that area. One of the things with development contributions is we're collecting money to purchase infrastructure, facilities, services where we actually believe there's a new demand generated. So the reality is we believe there's enough reserve land, we don't believe we need to purchase any more land. So to put it simply, we don't believe we should be collecting money for it.
Councillor Downard.
Yes, Scott, just on one part at the bottom, you've got under the new policy, the cost of development contributions to development has been reduced by 82,000, and then in considerations you've got it being 105,787. What's the difference there in those two?
So the $82,000 is how much their DCs have been reduced from the 2009 to the 2012 policy.
So they've already been reduced by that?
That's correct.
And then they're asking for another 105?
Yeah, so the 105 is purely just based if we didn't charge them for reserve land.
They've already had the 82 less, doesn't that, didn't you say that because the policy's changed, that's what the 82 is mainly reduced from, reserve land?
No, the majority of the charges from water and wastewater charges actually. Yeah, that's where the most significant.
Reserve land didn't incorporate that in from the policy.
Reserve land under this policy has actually gone up slightly, so between the two policies, the reserve charge has actually gone up. If we charge them purely under the 2012 policy, it's gone from a fixed charge of around about 8,000 to about 9,600. But
so
the 82.
So he's already had 82 and he wants another 105 just on the reserve.
That's correct. Yep.
Councillor Minshew.
Yeah, Scott, just trying to clarify numbers too. So then on the little box chart on the right on 8 bar 2, the 117,000 in the column. So is that what they would be charged? And that was the 82 previously on top of that, was it? Sort of just.
Yes, that's correct.
So that the 117,444 would be what we'd be asking for in contributions.
If you accepted the resolution to not charge for reserve land, that's correct.
Councillor Henderson.
I'd like to move the resolution.
Do I have a seconder for it? Councillor Williams. Any further talk or discussion, Darren? I think it's important to note that we used to charge 2%, I think it was, for Reserves Act fees.
5%.
5%, but it's been proven in case law that if you take that 5% and you don't use it within a period of either 5 or 10 years, you must refund it.
That's correct.
Which means we would have to go out and buy more reserves, and we would have to mow grass, mow grass, etc., etc. So that's probably behind the policy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, part of it.
So if there's no further, we have a mover and a second. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye, carried. Thank you. I'm conscious of time, and I think we'll do this bus shelter, and we might break for a cup of tea because our hosts, I think, are preparing a cuppa for us. So we'll do the bus shelter. We'll do the bus shelter. Okay, thank you. So we do the bus shelter, please. So I see we've got Will up here again, and Jim not here, no, just Will. Okay.
So this is just following on from the tour that we had around the offsite last week. So I'll just take the item as read, take any questions. Just note that this is a commercial decision based on the city school.
Okay, we have workshopped this team, so is there any questions on it, or are you happy to go ahead with that? Councillor Minshew?
Sorry, before I go on, I know I missed that workshop, but I still wasn't really happy with that location. I preferred to see it back between the Superloo and the Big Fish. That would be an area I would rather see the buses collect. I haven't had a chance to voice all my reasons, but for example, that part of Tongariro Street where we want the bus stops, one, we've got the Whai and the Epitaph and stuff like that, but also all the traffic there is greater, obviously, out of Huhu Street, out of the other street, Story Place. There's a greater collection of traffic in that area compared to that's the quieter part. The previous part of Tongariro Street is far quieter, and you've still got a Superloo, a park, and they can walk to the eyesight to get tickets, etc. I just feel that would be a rather place to see buses collect and be part of our community compared to slammed in a very busy part of town, both traffic and people already. And I still feel like connected close enough to the eyesight that the other site would be a better use of our space. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, forgive me if I'm wrong.
Sorry, I haven't had a chance.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you were at the workshop.
No, I missed it, unfortunately.
But I'm going to ask if there's a mover and a seconder for this motion, and if there is, I'll let you speak again against the motion, and then I will put the motion. Do you wish to move the motion? You do. Councillor Williams is moving the motion as on 9 bar 2, which is 1, 2, 3 inclusive.
No, one
No,
and
one,
three.
One.
and three.
1 and 3, so I'll get this clarified. So that's moved. Is there a seconder to that? I'll take ladies for gentlemen.
Okay.
Seconded by Councillor Kirk. Do you want to speak against the motion again, Councillor Mincher?
Just the same facts. I rather see the other locations. I feel it's a better long-term bus and connect the
Anybody
bus,
else want
etc.
to speak against the motion? Councillor Hickling?
Yes, I speak against the motion. I've always been against this location of the buses on Tongariro Street. At the last council meeting, and unfortunately I wasn't at the workshop, but at the last council meeting we was going to get an artist impression of the shelter and the Great Lake Centre and things like that. There are no plans in this document regarding where the actual shelter is going to go after your workshop, and so therefore I'm at a disadvantage in terms of making a decision, and therefore I'm going to vote against.
Does anybody else want to speak against the motion? They have, we did have, unfortunately, Barry, you were, Councillor Hickling, sorry. Unfortunately, you couldn't make that workshop, and I appreciate that, and did put in your apologies at the time. They did produce them, we've walked the site and done things, and I think most of us are reasonably comfortable. So if anybody else want to speak against the motion, because I will put it. I won't ask to speak for the motion because I think the show of hands in the workshop will show that. So the motion was moved by Councillor Williams, and I think it was seconded by Councillor Kirk. Ladies for gentlemen, all those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Against?
Yeah, my vote recorded against.
Yep, that's fine. And Councillor Mincher?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We've put the 2 votes against. So the motion is carried. Thank you very much. We will break for a cup of tea with our